What up? Another roadblog here. Serious one this time. I was thinking about jokes. Anybody who knows me at all can tell you that one of my biggest problems and one of my biggest failings is I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut when I have a joke in my brain. Like, that's the thing that tends to get me in a lot of trouble is I can never really keep my mouth shut. It's just kind of how my brain works. It's sort of how I deal with the world. You know, I didn't have a particularly pleasant childhood. And, I was a weird kid and people didn't really like me. So I sort of used humor to both connect with the world and sort of distract myself from problems that I had. And as an adult, sometimes I forget that other people don't work that way. You know, like most people don't spend 50 to 60% of their life, joking. And, obviously we just had that huge tragedy in Manchester, England, where a terrorist used a device that I assume is very similar to the Boston bomber. I know instead of bearings, like the bomber used nails, which, I mean, look, there's really nothing I can really say to add to that. But, when that happened, because I'm me, a couple of jokes popped in my head. Now, given the situation, I was smart enough to not repeat those jokes publicly or otherwise. Now, granted, if I was, in a room with a friend, maybe I would have, said something. But only doing so because my friend would know that I was in no way making fun of the people that were dying literally at that moment. And that I didn't think that was funny. That's just, again, how I sort of deal with the world. So, I use this to illustrate a similar story of a man named David Leavitt, who I know he worked for CBS and some other news outlets. I've never heard of him before until looking at his Twitter page. He's one of those people who refers to themselves as hashtag the resistance. One of those people. Very pretentious, by the way. Like, you don't like Trump, gotcha. You're doing everything you can to fight what you view as his agenda. Cool, but hashtag the resistance. Come on now. Anyway, so David Leavitt, as the bombing was being announced, makes a tweet. It said something to the effect of, in all caps, breaking news, multiple fatalities at Ariana Grande concert. And then in regular letters, the next sentence was, to be honest, last time I listened to Ariana Grande, I thought about killing myself. A joke. Definitely a joke in poor taste. First of all, the fact that those two sentences were combined into one tweet. I don't know. I don't think anything's off limits. I guess I should go on and mention, it didn't end there. Apparently he made a few more tweets, and then some of his former employers like CBS and another company called AXS completely disavowed him, took down any content that he created. He was apparently a writer, a journalist, I guess. At which point he started apologizing, but then sort of acting like he was the victim. And the last tweet of the night was actually him just reminding people that he's one of the good guys, and you shouldn't hate him because he hates Trump. And he said something to the effect of, now I get a taste of what Trump goes through. Hashtag impeach Trump. Which is fairly lacking in self-awareness. I mean, the whole thing is. And the guy, I think he's losing his job now, which I'm not really in support of. I don't believe you should. I'm not a big fan of the whole, we hate this guy, he's terrible, or she, whatever. Let's lynch him. The guy's an asshole. He's not particularly funny, but he didn't murder anyone. He did something stupid, and he's actually paying a price right now. I don't think you should ever chase somebody down. But the thing is, like, I don't believe anything is off limits. I've personally made jokes after the death of Robin Williams and Prince and a few others, like literally the next day when we recorded on Metal Hand of God. But again, like, if somebody listened to that show for the first time on one of those episodes, you'd think, Jesus, what a piece of shit. You'd probably look at me similarly. I don't think it's the same thing, but similarly to David Leavitt. But the joke there is never, I'm glad this person's dead. I'm never glad anyone's dead, I don't want terrorists dead. I want them to be normal human beings, I'm never happy that someone's dead. I just think, but I do believe that there are some people that unfortunately we do have to get rid of, not out of pleasure, but out of necessity. And in the case, the joke there isn't that Robin Williams, for instance, is dead. The joke is that people act fairly sycophantic about celebrities, and it's in my own way making fun of the people who are talking about how they're crying on the inside and on the outside, I guess, because this person died that they never met, that maybe they played a role. Robin Williams certainly played a role in my interest in comedy as a young man, but he wasn't my dad or my uncle or anything like that, In any case, so where do I draw the line? And, a lot of people will listen to this and say, well, this is arbitrary. But the thing is, I remember when Gilbert Gottfried got fired from Geico for making fun of or making jokes about the tsunami in Japan that killed all those people. And what I said at the time, and I stand by this, is that the problem was actually twofold. Number one, the jokes he was making weren't funny. And when they're not funny, they just come off as cruel. But secondly, and the bigger thing is, nothing's off limits, but generally speaking, it's in bad taste to make jokes about people as they're dying. And I understand that and certainly Gilbert Gottfried is a comedian, and while I'm not a stand-up, what I do is comedy. This is sadly funny. It's not really. I don't know why I went with that. Anyway, but what I do, if you listen to Metal Hand of God, is, as I said, I make jokes. It's what I'm good at. But it's just in bad taste, when someone's actually dying to make those jokes, and you're not a bad person for it, but there has to be some sense of when it's appropriate and how it's appropriate. A big component of comedy is context. Some of that's timing, a lot of it's timing, but another larger part of it is also knowing your audience. And like I said earlier, like if I'd made one of those jokes to a friend of mine, maybe they would have laughed, maybe they wouldn't have, but they would have understood that I'm not this person who thinks it's hilarious that someone's dying in Manchester, or certainly all those small children in England who just wanted to go to an Ariana Grande concert. They would have understood, again, that that's just how I deal with things and how I process things. And unfortunately, sometimes that's just how my brain works. I'm definitely a big-time gallows humor person. But when you go on Twitter, and this is sort of David Leavitt's problem. He was sort of playing to his audience. Like, he was thinking, oh, they're going to think this is hilarious. My peeps will love this. Well, problem is, I don't know what kind of people follow David Leavitt. I'm going to guess we wouldn't get along very well. But they clearly, everyone has their limits to what they find indecent, you know, or most people do. Obviously, when we're talking about people like ISIS that took responsibility for this tragedy, clearly they don't have a whole lot of limits of decency. You know, anyone that would send out a suicide bomber to murder children, really for no particular reason other than, hey, this will really fuck with them. So anyway, so that's just my thoughts on it. I can completely understand if people find that arbitrary, but that's where I draw the line personally. And I think we all have to draw the line somewhere. So, you know, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people that still think I'm a horrible human being. Maybe because they love Prince and they cried when he died. But fuck you. Wasn't that sad. Just another musician. You didn't know him. You can still listen to, you know, Raspberry Beret and Little Red Corvette. So I've been Adam. This has been a road blog. Oh, sorry, Buck Lightning. It gets so confusing sometimes. Anyway, I'm out.